Welcome, everybody. We've got Bob Mangold on the call, recapping our California tour, if you will. So, Bob, without further ado, take it away.
So the first thing I want to talk about is just the whole cash offer strategy that we talked about last week, where we're going to go to listings that are on the market right now that, again, depending on your area, let's say they've been on the market at least 90 days, but I would say 120 to 180 days, right? So like Saffron in Southern California, I promise if you go to your MLS between 180 and 360 days, they're going to be thousands. Now, you obviously can't, call thousands, but then I'd break it down into price point, right? Maybe, I don't know, call it 600 to 900,000 so that you can bring that down to a level of, let's say, 200 to 300 listings, because over the next 3 or 4 weeks, well, that is something that you could accomplish. And I do know it's getting close to Christmas now, but if you simply call the listing agent and just say, hey, is your home at 123 Main Street available still? Still available, right? It's in MLS and shows active. And they go, yes. Say, great. I have an offer for you. When can you jump on Zoom so we can review it? Any variation from that. So I know a couple people, I'm just texting the listing agent, and I'm just emailing the listing agent. I'm emailing him the offer. I'm just telling you, folks, that won't work. So one of my concerns about that is we automatically go to the easiest route, right? What's the easiest route I can take? And email and text would be easier. But let's be honest, guys, most of you don't really even understand the offer that you're presenting. So you've got to understand it. How in the world would we ever expect any agent to just look at that and figure it out, right? They're going to look at the net offer of X with the holdback and go, they wouldn't, right? So it's not how we work. Now, Kathy posted in the Facebook group the 2 minutes of role playing that I did with the guy last week on that conversation that you could have, right? And so unfortunately, I've got to wait to get the good video. I tried to transcribe what Kathy had. It's not clear enough. But I'll transcribe the video that I get from the other Ryan when I get that and put that into a script. But guys, it's understanding that cash offer. And then secondly, it's about also saying, hey, if I call 300 agents over the next, call it 30 days, right? That's 10 a day. And I know that includes weekends, holidays, all that, right? So let's say 40 days. If you call 10 agents a day, can we agree probably half of them are going to be asses, right? It's just the way it's going to be. But the other 5 every day that are decent, say, hey, by the way, if you ever want to see how we're doing that, I'm happy to put together a call. Like, guys, if every Thursday or Friday or something like that, we wanted to jump on and do a quick Zoom call with people, with other agents, to show them how they could do that, and it's available at our EXP group, we could do that, right? Well, if you just text and email, 95% of them will never answer. Secondly, you don't get to find out who is decent, who isn't, right? If they're not open-minded after they've got a listing on the market for 180 days, that, I'll be honest with you, it's probably going to be an expired pretty soon. If they blow you off and they're ignorant, is that really somebody you want to work with? Let's be honest. It's not for me. So you lose that ability. So to take and do 10 of those a day, 50 a week. So, right, let's assume 6 days, 5 days a week, could do 6. Right, that would be 50 agents a week that you would be talking to. Half of them are going to be obnoxious, won't answer their phone. One of the things Ryan found last week, trying to call everybody who requested a call back last week, right? How many didn't answer their phone the first round that you went through?
Most of them didn't answer. Just a few of them did.
Yeah. So those are people that asked us to reach out to them, right? So just know agents won't answer their phone, but you can leave them a message. Hey, this is Saffron with eXp Realty. Hey, the reason I'm calling is I have an offer on your property at 123 Main Street that I wanted to review with you. Call me back at. Do you think you'll get a call back fairly quick with that message? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, guys, there's no way to cheat that and understand if you don't, and listen, and I don't say that in a negative way. If you don't understand that cash offer, it was probably 3 or 4 months before I did. I had to go meet with Elliot when I was in Phoenix and go, let's break this down. I need to make sure I understand it. That's when we shot that video, right? Because I didn't understand it. So don't think like, oh, I'm embarrassed to say I don't understand it. If you don't, let's get on a phone and make sure we do understand it, or get with Kathy or get with me, but make sure you understand it. How would we ever expect somebody to understand that offer if they got it in an email and they opened the PDF? They just wouldn't. Right. So at the end of the day, I'm just, I'd say I would be stunned, but I won't be. I'd be willing to bet most of our agents are not making those calls this week, yet most of them need to. So I was telling Robert before we got on here, I went and researched the volume. I have a tool on the mortgage side available where I can research the agent's volume. But of the list I had of agents, not our EXP agents, that were in that room, if I added up all their volume, it was probably less than $10 million. Agents need to learn how to do business. What we did in California last week was talk about how do you do business. The blueprint that I laid out, William, Safwan, you guys that were there, did I give you an exact step-by-step blueprint of what to do?
Yes, you did.
Right? We start with the database. Right. We start with the database and then we run it through and do all that stuff. Right. So if we did all that, can we agree we'd have much more successful agents?
Yes.
The downside is we got to find agents that will do the work. So like Ryan and Jordan, and I probably will do some too because we have so many calls today. We're going to do calls with agents and find out how we can help them from the mortgage perspective, obviously from the real estate side. How do we help you do more business? So like last week, there were, what do you think were there, guys? Like 50 agents, 55,
Yeah.
something like that?
I think I counted 62, but that included all of us too.
So you know how I gave out the website Mortgage Payoff Blueprint to understand how to talk to people about paying off their house in 5 to 10 years?
Mhm.
Guess how many people actually went and watched that video?
Zero.
No, William was right. 0.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm not.
Wow.
It's the number one basis for how we can talk to somebody about using their real estate to build personal wealth. It's the number one tool, yet nobody went and watched it. So what does that say about that group? Are they dedicated to wanting to make more money? Now, I know I threw a lot of stuff out at that meeting, so I'll, some of that I can chalk up to that. But two, as we do these individual meetings today and then throughout the week, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have them go watch that because, William Safwan, you were there, Blanca, you probably haven't heard this before. But that USP of saying, listen, my goal is to help people build personal net worth or build personal wealth through real estate. My goal is to help them buy a home using a 30-year loan and pay it off between 5 and 10 years. And with the money they would have paid to the bank, accumulate $1 million in cash. And that does not include the equity in the home. That's on top of that. How many people looking to buy a house or owning a house would want to talk to you if you could show them how to do that?
Pretty good number, I bet.
Everybody would.
No.
Guys, I've never had anybody say no to me. And so literally, what if we were utilizing that conversation? Now, after the holidays, Robert's going to move to doing 1 call a week, every other week, showing how to take the listing appointments. And then I'm going to do the conversion. Well, the lead conversion is built around the mortgage side, because anybody can set them up on a search of homes. Anybody can show them houses. That doesn't require any particular skill. You can be warmer and nicer than others. But other than that, folks, on the real estate side, it's a little harder to differentiate yourself. That's why the mortgage side is so powerful, because it allows us to help you brand yourself differently. And by being able to have that conversation, when you're sending your loans to us, you can send them to whoever the heck you want. I'll be honest with you. Do you think they're going to talk to them about how you build personal wealth? Do you think they're going to show them options on getting their house paid off? They're not. They're not going to teach agents how to use buy down strategies. Like Saturday, Jordan was structuring a loan while we were at the condo in Scottsdale, and they had to use the money that the seller was contributing to buy the interest rate down to get them to qualify. Otherwise, they wouldn't have qualified. I promise 99.9% of lenders wouldn't have had that conversation, but he figured out a way to take and get them where they could qualify. Robert, that was Vicky's deal.
Yeah.
And so, guys, it's all critical to do this stuff. That's why we've committed, Ryan and Jordan, and I'll jump on once in a while I just wanted to kind of recap what we did last week for you today to understand what we're doing. I only had one agent reach out to me last week after this, William and Safwan, to say, hey, could you set me up with an account where I could go find likely sellers in the neighborhood and upload my database of clients or friends to be able to show them the value of their house and be able to communicate with them on a consistent basis? Only one. So, Robert, I sent you yours because we talked about it a couple weeks ago. So
I got it set up.
You did get it? Okay. And so, guys, I can set them up on the mortgage side for you at no cost, yet only one reached out. So we can help you, but you have to take the steps necessary for that help, right? So it's there, but you have to take the steps. And so as Ryan and Jordan do those calls, and I might do some of the calls with them just because we got so many backed up, is that, hey, our goal is to find out what somebody really wants. I can help anybody get what they're willing to work for. Does that make sense?
It does.
I mean, I hate to say it, guys, there were so many of those agents in that room that when I researched, they haven't done deals in 2 years. Not necessarily who I'm looking to help with, because did they go to that meeting last week and go, boom, now I got it. I understand the real estate business. I'm going to start working. If they did, they would have gone and watched some of the videos and stuff that I gave them. And so it's critical to implement this stuff. The knowledge is useless without implementation, which is the very first thing Robert's got up at the top. You can know everything in the world, but if you don't implement, what difference does it make? And for me, every day, I have a list for the next day of what I want to get done. I mean, I could share my list of what I need to get done today. So at the end of the day, Joseph did a business planning workshop on Thursday. We weren't necessarily planning on going, but I'm so thankful that I did because it was amazing. Do you want to know how many people? Take a guess how many people showed up of the hundreds of realtors that were there, that were invited. How many showed up? What do you guys think?
10.
For Joseph's meeting.
I know the number because I was there, so I'll keep quiet.
Yeah. So several hundred were invited. How many do you think came?
20.
3.
What?
3. And 2 left about halfway through the meeting. Now I'm telling you, what Joseph did impacted us personally.
It was just us, and I'm so glad we were there.
I'm very thankful I was there. It resonated with us. And if you can resonate with me, you did something. And all those people that got invited missed out on a way to start to think about their business and organize their business. So what we can help you do, both on the mortgage and the real estate side, everything that I covered last week, we can help anybody who wants to do the work do that. But we have to know that people are dedicated to doing it. Make sense?
Yep.
And so it's critical for us. And I can just tell you, as somebody, I started on the mortgage side of the business. Then I got into real estate. The reason I was successful wasn't because I knew how to do a loan. I don't need you to know how to do a loan. It was because I learned how real estate allowed me to have a different, how mortgage allowed me to have a different conversation with people. Right? I gave the elevator speech. If people get on an elevator and they go, William, what do you do? What do you do for a living? What do you say? Oh, he doesn't want to unmute now. Safon, what do you say?
It's like you're not working right.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
So what do you say to them?
Well, I say to them, I'll ask them, started talking to them basically about who they are and what they do. And I try to focus my conversation on them. And then I tell them that I help people build income through real estate.
Yeah, so here it becomes real simple. So it's funny because now Jordan's spending a little bit of time with me, right? He's locked in my condo with us, and now I get to throw out all these things at him, and it's like, no, it's real simple. Somebody in an elevator says, "What do you do?" I says, "Well, I help people get rich." What's the next logical question?
How?
How? Through real estate. I start with the home they own. I go, really? How do you do that? Right? That'd be the next logical question. Because I can tell you, I've done it for really decades. And they go, and then I go, when they go, well, how do you do that? I'm going, well, the real estate agent and the lender that you worked with didn't show you how to do that? Like, well, no. Man. So if I could show you and like, I don't know, set up a 30-minute Zoom, would you want to meet? They go, well, I'm not looking to buy or sell. Because I didn't ask you that. I just asked, are you looking to get wealthy? Right? Because remember the database numbers I gave you? If nothing else, I added them to my database. I know they're going to move or refi in 5 years. I'm just adding people to my database. One of the goals every day, you should have a database number. How many people today can I add to my database? You just started thinking about it. I didn't ask you if they were ready to buy or sell. How many could you add to your database? So way back in the early 2000s, one of the things I used to do with agents was, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. I used to say, all right, do you want me to get 25 people to your database every day? And they go, yeah, that'd be great. It's like, cool. Take 50 business cards, go stand outside the Circle K that was down the street from our office, and pass that card out and say, if you know anybody looking to build wealth in real estate, here's my card. And you'll get between 10 and 25 people a day. Period. How many people you think wanted to go stand outside of Circle K? None.
Not many, yeah.
But it would work.
Well,
What if you had a shirt? What if you had a shirt?
Cookies and you could.
Yeah, like anything like that. What if you had a shirt is build wealth with real estate? Want some? Something like that. And you wore this shirt around everywhere you went. How many people would go, yeah, I want some? Like, get outside the box and start to think about how we get creative. Like, if you just simply won't talk to somebody, what if you did that? You're at the gym working, right? For those of you guys that seen my Homeboss shirts last week, the front was Homeboss. The back was Ryan's website, contact info, all that other stuff. What if you started wearing that? So it's thinking outside the box on these kinds of things. But the number one question is, well, when you say, hey, I help people do that, they're probably going to want to drill down and go, well, no, William, specifically, how do you help me build wealth? And you're stuck in the elevator with them. What are you going to answer?
Help them through real estate.
Yeah, okay, and then they're going to go, well, how do you do that?
Showing, I would study, first of all, I need to study the information you gave us last week that talks about how I could, help them to buy a home, build a wealth through that home in 5 to 10 years, have that home paid off and accumulate $1 million.
Right. And so that's the answer is, well, the first place I start is let's talk about how we could get your house paid off in 5 to 10 years using a 30-year mortgage.
Right.
That's huge.
And then they'd be curious as to how do I do that?
Of course they would. Now, most people would do is they'd say, hey, go watch this video.
Mhm.
But because we're not average, what we're going to do is, hey, can I schedule a call? Be about 45 minutes. Let's jump on Zoom. And I would go over to the mortgage payoff blueprint. And I would have that up. And it's actually legitimately, I think it's like 30 minutes and 13 seconds. And I would play that video. You don't have to say a word. I would start out, hey, William, it's easiest if I play this, and it's also going to be available for you to watch again. But this is the best explanation of the mortgage process that I help people put in place to pay that house off. And then afterwards, I'm going to run some questions. You know, I'll get some questions and get some information and see if you'd be able to start from that point. And then hit play. You don't even have to talk. The reason I use that video, the gal that did it works obviously for that lender, does a great job of explaining it. But that's the first place we start in helping them build wealth, right? Because what was the example I showed? It was like 300 and I don't know, saved them $327,000 or $312,000 in interest, whatever it was.
I think it was 327 or something like that.
Something like that, right? So when people go, oh, I don't know that I have that amount of time. It's like, well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Let's say we take an hour. I don't think we'll go an hour, but let's say that I take an hour. If your home is worth $600,000 or more, I can put an extra $327,000 in your pocket. So that would be like you working part-time for 1 hour and earning $327,000 an hour. You got an hour of your time? And if they don't, is it a big deal?
No, say next.
No, I can't help everybody. I can only help those that want to help themselves. But see, the more we can plug you guys into that, that's why, you know, Ryan and Jordan and I have kind of committed to jumping on these calls to see what we can help with, right? The reason Robert and I decided to do these hot seats is to help. He'll teach you how to list them. I'll teach you how to convert them, and we'll be dangerous. But do you see how, like those conversations, let's say in these open houses, right, where we're having 150 people come in, become helpful?
Yeah, I think they would.
Hey, folks, you know, go take a walk around through the house, blah, 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 blah. And when you're done, if you'd like to see how you could save $327,000 in payments and interest on this home, you know, come and talk with me, right? We'd have a flyer or whatever. And so at the end of the day, there's different ways that we'll teach you to take and use that, but it really does start with the mortgage, guys, because can I save them $320,000 on buying the house? I'm not going to get the seller to give up $300,000, am I? But I can through the financing. So we're going to use the financing to get us where we want to go. Make sense? Because when you understand that, everything changes. So think of it this way. You buy a $600,000 house, and I'm making this up, right? And say 6.5%, you're probably paying another $600,000 in interest. So after 30 years, what would you have, assuming you left the loan in place, you would have paid $1.2 million for the house, right? The original 600 plus 600 in interest. What if I could bring it down where you only paid $200,000 in interest, and that $400,000, William or Safwan, went in your pocket, or Blanca in your pocket? Would you prefer that, or would you rather just give it to the bank?
I would prefer that.
Yeah. And that's the question that I ask, guys. And then guess what? The secret to this is that when you ask the question, you be quiet, and then you look them in the eye and you wait for them to answer. Now, you really don't have to wait long. They will go, well, of course I'd want it in my pocket. Well, great. You know, I know you said you had an agent. Have they shown you that? Or you had a lender? Have they shown you how to do that? Well, no. Why not? I mean, like if they could save you $300,000 or whatever, $400,000, don't you think they would show you? Does that concern you at all? Are you contractually obligated to work with them? I mean, I'm assuming if they knew how to do it, they would have shown you, right? I just in good conscience couldn't work with a client that I knew that I could save them $400,000 and show them how to do it and not show them. Would it make sense for us to spend 30 to 45 minutes together and talk about how we could do that and then let you decide who you want to work with? Guys, they never say no to that. But that all starts from the mortgage side. And no, Blanc, that's not necessarily in building up agents. I guess I shouldn't say not necessarily, it's not. And that's why what we're going to start doing is after the first of the year, I may just do mine on Tuesdays after the normal class. And then Robert will do his hot seat every other week on whenever he's going to do his prospecting and stuff. So our people have to work around his schedule on that. Mine is not, because I'm not prospecting, I can plug that in and do that. But our whole goal is real simple. We want you to see how to get the listings, and then we want you to turn it into contact to more deals, right? You guys that were there, William and Safwan, that 1 into 5, that's a big deal, isn't it?
Big time.
Absolutely.
So where can I find the video?
You can't. It's not a video yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is just stuff this is what you get by working with us, Blanca. So I know you may have somebody and that's all fine. The question is, can they do the things that I'm talking about? And the answer is they can't, of course. So this is in the brain of Bob.
My goal for next year is to get my LO license. So, I'm going to be hanging it with Nexa, but,
Let me save you this headache, Blanca. Don't. No.
Everybody's been so encouraging on getting,
hey, in theory, it's a good idea, but here's what I can tell you. I was a lender first, then I became a realtor. Being a lender and a realtor is very difficult. And what'll happen in the beginning, Robert, you can speak to this. In the very beginning, it's so overwhelming trying to learn everything that you have to on the mortgage side that you will ignore your real estate side. Is that a 100% accurate statement, Robert?
That is 100% correct. I had 15 years, Bob, owned a mortgage bank. It is a different animal. It distracts you. I think personally, my recommendation for agents, stay in your lane. Sellers, FSBOs, expired, cancels, probate, divorce, stay in your lane and let Bob and his team at Nexa take care of the loan side.
And so at the end of the day, it's just very difficult to do, Blanca. And what we find is it takes people's focus away from the real estate side of their business, which from a cash flow standpoint is not a good idea.
I guess I'm confused, Bob, because I thought we were going to, I'm like Blanca, I thought we were going to get the LO license just so that we can get the referral income.
No.
And I thought we had to have that to get the referral
First of all, in order to do that, you've got to be doing 30 to 50 transactions a year.
Okay, I think Robert mentioned that.
Yeah, so
okay.
it's a volume proposition because the truth is, number one, very few lenders will hire a brand new LO. And just so you guys know, at Nexa they did, but in January they're letting 80% of the new agents who aren't closing any transactions, they're going to let them go. Because remember, a company has to put up minimum wage reserves and stuff like that. There's expenses in having employees. So the expectation is that you have to come in the door and start closing 2 transactions a month. The reality of it is it's very difficult to do even with experience. And so my answer is no, learn this, work with us because we can get that done and teach you on that. Because the reality of it is if I had to go back from a real estate perspective and then learn the loan business, I would have a hard time with it, full disclosure. Be very difficult. I was fortunate that I started as a lender first, and I'll be honest, I went and got a real estate license simply because I know how to generate business, and I would hand something off. I'd go, hey, here, Blanco, here's a pre-approved buyer. They want to go out, next week and look. And then I'd have the agents going, oh, I couldn't get with them this week. I had this going on, that going on, and blah, 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 blah. They went to some open house and some other realtor picked them off. I still did their loan, but the realtor lost the real estate business. And I just said, well, this is stupid. And I went and got a real estate license. And then I hired my own people, put them on a salary so that I could tell them what to do and when to do it, right? Not this 1099, so they wouldn't screw up my real estate deals. That's why I got a real estate license. But the lending side is very, very difficult to learn. And so
I've taken the class before. I just didn't take the test.
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's just the lending class is just like the real estate class. You'll never need to know anything that's in
exactly.
that, right? So it teaches you nothing. And so here's the difference on the loan side. And Ryan can speak to this, right? Is you do like 3, 4, 5 real estate transactions, right? You know how to write a contract. You usually start with buyers, even listings. Like, then you understand the flow of the paperwork. You're not an expert in all the different things that come up and the seller doesn't want to move later, those kind of things, like the scenarios. But once you do a few deals, you kind of know how to write the contracts and the listing agreements. The lending is not like that at all. Blanca's self-employed. Saffron's employed. William is a bank statement loan. And you have to know all the different guidelines from all these different lenders about where and when and how to take and get this done. So the scenarios, all the loans are different. You go, well, to conventional loans, somebody putting 20% down are the same. No, they're not. Right? They might be putting 20% down, but they're not W-2 income. Well, what do you do? And what lenders do that? And what are their guidelines? And you have to go and research all that stuff, right? So now you've got to go through 200 lenders and find out, hey, who's willing to do this? Who will do that with this scenario? Oh, this one's got a 650 FICO. That one's got a 750. This one's got a 550. What do you do? Right? Typically, you tell any LO, I've got somebody with a 515 FICO score. They'll tell you can't get them a loan. That's not true at all. We can get an FHA loan done to 500. They got to put 10% down, but we can get loans done. We've gotten loans done all the time. But you have to know that and know the guidelines. So how will you learn the guidelines? You're going to have to spend a ton of time involved in that, which takes you away from your real estate business. And so I've watched people over the years try and go, too much. So you can go and do it. I'm just telling you, at some point, you'll come back and go, oh, you were right.
I appreciate the feedback.
So I'd rather teach you, and then, hey, we can provide those system strategies and conversations with people so that you become a better educated realtor. So like Blanca, if you use Homeboss, you go out and you do an open house, you get a bunch of people there. Like I showed something last week, you haven't seen this yet, where you could actually go into the neighborhood. Like let's say that doesn't matter what neighborhood, you go in your open house, you can use this tool to go and find people that are likely to be selling in the next 6 months, right? So literally around your open house. And so let's say you find 3, 4, 5 of them. You can print out a property report. You could do it on RPR too if you wanted, but you could just print out a pretty simple report. We'll create a flyer for you on that mortgage. We'd also have a cash offer flyer. And I'm not a big fan. I know you probably have been in some of my class. I'm not a big fan of door knocking. Not because it doesn't work, mostly because, damn, it's hot here, right? Who's going to want to right? So let's just be honest. It's just damn hot. In the wintertime, it's not that big of a deal. But if you had 3 or 4 or 5 people that you knew statistically had a 90% chance of selling in the next 6 months, is that worth it to go knock on those 3, 4, 5, 6 doors? Yeah. And then if you have an open house, it becomes even easier. Hey, my name is Blanca. I just wanted to, introduce myself. We're doing an open house on Saturday. I just wanted to stop by with people in the neighborhood to see if you know somebody who's looking to buy in your neighborhood. And please let them know about the open house. Do you know anybody? No, I don't. Well, hey, feel free to stop by and at least get a good idea of what their house is like and how it stacks up against yours. And then I also brought a little report for you on your house specifically that give you an idea of, what it's worth and some of the, options on how you could utilize it better for your, utilize your equity better. I'll just drop this off with you if you want to stop by on Saturday and say, hey, that'd be awesome. They go, what are they going to say? No, don't give that to me. And then, oh, by the way, if you'd like, I can set you up where you get a monthly report that monitors the market value of your property specifically to this neighborhood and area that will keep you apprised every month on what the value of your house is. Do you want me to set you up with that? All I need is your email. And if they say yes, well, guess what? That same system that you used to find them is the same system that we use to send out those monthly reports. And they get a 77% open rate on those reports. Well, guys, here's what we know. We know they're going to probably be selling in the next 6 months. And the funny thing is, it's like, well, when they did the demo of this for me, that, believe it or not, they actually said, give me one of your agent's names. So I gave him Robert. We went and found a listing that he had sold 2 years ago on Homeboss, coming up on. They identified him as a likely seller. Well, he was in the military. He is in the military. He actually bought this house sight unseen from Virginia. Well, he's in the military. Chances are very great that he's going to be moving. He's going to get restationed, right? And then I looked up our house. And it was like, yeah, no, they're not. Well, that would be accurate. So within a high degree of accuracy, every one of these open houses, right? If we keep thinking, how do I get 5 more transactions from these listings, right? We want people that are listing their house. We want buyers. How do we take and get 5 more deals? It doesn't matter if they're all buyers, all sellers, any combination of. What are we doing to do that? Well, if you had that kind of tool to do that and you focused on that, instead of trying to figure out all these different loan programs for people, and you focused on doing that, and you focused on the follow-up, and we can help you with the follow-up, because we're going to follow up on those people, you're going to follow up on those people, and we know they're likely to do something. If we do that, can you get more deals? And so on the lending side, it's pretty simple. We don't spend a lot of time talking about different loan programs we have available. We spend time figuring out how do we do more business, right? If you do more business, we do more business. It's that simple. This is how do we do more business?
You know, Bob, I'm sitting here going through these notes. I mean, it's amazing, guys. Think about this. We've talked about getting aged listings. We've talked about so many nuggets. Bob, I appreciate this so much. I'm so glad we're recording it, and we're getting close to the end of our call. So, Bob, if you could just, kind of wrap it up for the agents. Give them some, the top 3 things that they need to do right now, today, to start implementing and growing their business. What would be the top 3 things you'd like to share with them?
Well, you're probably going to want to schedule a call with, Ryan and Jordan will be on some of them. I probably will jump on some of them because it's about implementation. The first thing is, how do we start adding to your database? Then what do your follow-up systems look like in your database? And the answer for most is, hey, we have KV Core, but the truth is most people don't use it. And then the third thing is, what does that business plan look like to go out and get listings? Where are you going to find that? And a lot of the tools that we have on the lending side allow us to help the agent find that, right? We've got artificial intelligence on the real estate side. What were the numbers? 93 and 58. So since September 1st, we've generated 93 potential buyers and 58 potential sellers in Phoenix, Blanca.
Hey, Bob, can you back up a little? I know you went a little fast, but I have number 1 is adding to the database. What was
adding to your database? Building follow-up systems, right? How do you follow up with them? What's that going to look like?
Okay.
And then third is focus on the listings. How do I get more listings? Right? What did I talk about that whole meeting last week was become a listing agent. Doesn't mean we ignore buyers, right? Obviously, there's no loans if we don't have buyers. But if you get successful enough, like Blanca, if you had 10 listings right now, could you do all the open houses on it? Nope. So guess what you'd have to do? You'd have to go hire a couple agents to sit there. Now you get the EXP override, plus they're going to pay you 30% override on top of it. Now you got more residual income coming in. Your job is to get the listings, get good at the listings. And then the truth is, if you start hiring people, let me work with them on converting. That's what the whole idea of the hot seats are. So those would be the three things that I would focus on. And like, you know, schedule a call with us and like, let's put a strategy together here.
And Bob, could you go ahead and drop in, or I could share it with everybody. Would you want us to reach out to Jordan, Ryan, yourself?
Not Ryan. Yeah,
Okay.
Ryan.
Okay, so I'll go ahead, guys. I'll go ahead and put in the remarks. I'll put all of Ryan's contact information. Remember, there's a lot of great stuff. You know, it's not just about loan programs and rates. There's so many tools that they offer us agents to go out there and help get more listings, identify likely sellers in the neighborhood, take more listings, and that's what this is all about. So, Bob, I'm super stoked to have you on, man. It's
sorry I took up the whole meeting. I wasn't planning on it. I just figured, hey, I'd read
this is
last
perfect.
week.
This is perfect. I mean, when you have your mentor running your morning meeting, it doesn't get better than that. So, Bob, you have no idea how much Carl and I and the whole team appreciate you so much. We'll put in the remarks, guys, how to get a hold of Ryan, Carla for her escrow services, and just reach out to us and let's keep going. So remember, 2023 success, you need to implement. You need to have implementation. You need to have a strategy. You need to have your goals in line, dialed in, and understand them, make sure they're clear. You need to have your mission statement, and more importantly, is you need to have the vision of exactly where you're going. So that's the crux of today's call. Bob Mangold, thank you so much. Ryan, thanks for coming
guys.
on.
Thank you, Bob.
Carla,
See you
thank
guys.
so much, guys. Have a great day.
All right, talk to you later.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Robert.